The Golden State Warriors are betting favorites to win Michael Porter Jr. in a trade? Huh? Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Warriors,
Stop trying to turn the page on us so fast.
your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
We got 4 championships.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Every team has a chance if Steph's on the team.
Your team every day.
What is good, everyone? Thanks for making Locked On Warriors a part of your day. We are free and available wherever you get your audio podcasts. You can check us out on YouTube. We are always here for you. The best times to get Golden State Warriors content, live after games, whenever news breaks, and even right now, during the start of hypothetical season and the end to the NBA playoffs that saw an amazing game today. We are here crunching numbers, talking rumors, breaking down quotes, vague ones sometimes, and giving you everything Golden State Warriors basketball. My name's Charlie Walter, formerly at 95.7 The Game in the Bay Area. That is the flagship radio station. I was a talk show host there. That's where the Golden State Warriors play. You can hear the call with Tim Roy. Also cover the team for CBS News Bay Area, the new home to the Golden State Valkyries. Anyways, on today's show, kind of the rundown. Obviously, we got to talk a little bit about the New York Knicks matchup with the Indiana Pacers, specifically because something stood out that can be pertained to the Golden State Warriors. It can be, I guess, cross-sold in this one. The irony, you can call it. Michael Porter Jr. is the Bovada Sportsbook favorite to land with the Golden State Warriors. What does this mean? We'll talk about that. Veteran options for Golden State, mainly the vet minimum. What is the vet minimum? We'll give you the definition of that, and we'll also tell you some players that you should be looking out for. And Brandin Podziemski, is he more valuable in a trade package to return someone, or is he more valuable considering he's very young and very good, frankly, for his age and just in general? He's a good basketball player, does a lot of great things. Would he be more valuable in a Warriors uniform? Let's start off in New York. And granted, if you are one of those people that tape games and don't watch them immediately after, 3 hours go by and you go back to watch it, you don't see the box score, you don't look at highlights, anything, then cover yours for about 45 seconds and then rejoin us for the Warriors talk. But NBA teams were 0-0 for 970. 970 when down by 14 or more points in the final 2 minutes and 50 seconds of regulation in the playoffs over the last 27 postseasons. Pacers, Knicks, holy cannoli, make it 1-970. 1-970. Knicks were up 14 with 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go. Aaron Nesmith goes insane. Tyrese Halliburton with 6 seconds left was down 2. Looked like he was actually going to get to the rim. Then all of a sudden kind of stops. It looked like Bridges poked it away. And instead of pulling up from 12 feet, he goes all the way back, meanders all the way back from 3 in about a half a second with those long strides. Shot goes up from deep. Crazy Kawhi type bounce. And it goes in. He hits the choke at the Garden. One issue. It wasn't to win the game because his foot was on the line. Shades of Kevin Durant with Brooklyn. It goes into overtime, and Halliburton and company get it done in what was an excellent game. Anyways, you can hear more about that on Locked On Pacers. But watching that game, you know what it made me think? The Dubs were reportedly interested in one point in Siakam, in OG Anunoby, who I think Charles Barkley literally said on the air tonight, he called him Ojanobi. And everyone was just, what? Ojanobi. And Karl Anthony Towns, the third one. So all these players doing great on a huge stage. And it was Jonathan Kuminga who was the one holding up those trades if they ever got to that point. He was the one that needed to be involved. And now we are entering this offseason and we're thinking, hey, maybe we can use Kuminga to get someone like Ojanobi or Siakam. So that's where we stand. The Golden State Warriors, could they be getting one of the players in the forms of a trade that fits the mold of what they want, can shoot it a little bit, shoot it a lot, tall, positional size, proven, probably want a veteran, but not someone that's too old, Michael Porter Jr., I guess, kind of fits the mold of that. The Warriors are the favorite to land MPJ of the Denver Nuggets on the Bovada Sportsbook. Now, here are the odds. First of all, I may need someone in the chat to help me how this is even a thing. So the Warriors are plus 300, the Bulls plus 400, the Lakers plus 600. The Nuggets obviously not on there. So this is if a trade were to happen. Now, how long does this last for? Are these just running odds? Do they have all-time running odds of who, number 3 options in Denver are potentially heading to? I guess that's where we've gotten with the sports books. But anyways, we don't know what to think about them anyways because it's not FanDuel. FanDuel has the real stuff now. But Michael Porter Jr. doesn't make any sense. I mean, the positional size, sure. You think the Warriors need to get that Andrew Wiggins type scorer, the third person that fits with Jimmy, that fits with Curry, that can play a lot of games and take some of the pressure off Steph and company. Why would it make sense for the Nuggets? I guess they want a revamped roster around Jokic. Could they potentially want a revamped roster? The best way to do it is to get rid of some payroll, get multiple players back, get involved in a multiple team trade. But look, I don't think it makes a ton of sense for the Warriors. He's $38 million. It's tough to fit in financially, but you do see the fit, and he's definitely good. Would you rather have MPJ on the floor in a playoff game or Moses Moody? The answer is pretty simple. Although he was not a $38 million player in that Nuggets Thunder series, he had a 1-for-8 game. He had a 1-for-7 game, 2 1-for-7 games, and only went for more than 10 in that 7-game series once. But there is a lot to like here. Averaged 18, shot 39% from 3. That's lower than his career percentage, which is a robust 40% at 6'10" from 3. Also can grab boards, 7 rebounds per game. Otto Porter was such a nice fit for the Warriors. Could they go to the well? When in doubt, go to the well and find a Porter. The 6'10" small forward / power forward. Curry, Hield, Butler, Porter Jr., Draymond. I mean, that's a closing 5, but how do you even make it happen? Who knows? And one of the things, if there are any trades this offseason to look at, is with the new CBA, you're so much more enticed to get multiple teams involved. I mean, look at the last few trades. The Jimmy Butler one, we had Schroeder going this way. We had Lindy Waters going over here. Schroeder's going to Utah, Waters to Detroit, Wiggins to Miami. How many teams were involved in that one? And then the Klay Thompson trade that brought back Hield and company. There were obviously tons of teams, I believe 6 in that one. So we will have to see if Kuminga's involved in any sort of a trade. But the newest name that's popped up, Michael Porter Jr., how Bovada gets these odds that he could potentially be a Golden State Warrior, or at least they'd be the favorite if he were to be on the move. I don't know, but there's not a ton to it aside from the fact that his name was mentioned. And I have never heard of his name mentioned or tied to the Golden State Warriors. So when we return, let's get to the veteran minimum contract players that will be huge this offseason. I have compiled a list of some players that are actually like the last couple of days during hypothetical season, the start, we always get ahead of ourselves. We say, Giannis, is it a Google event? We pull out Giannis. We hear rumors with Michael Porter Jr. We lead with that. But let's test the market with some real fits that actually fit into the Warriors' financial payroll and guys that we can make a serious debate until someone like Michael Porter Jr. actually gets some legs under it. This is Locked On Warriors. We will be right back. All right, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at SKIMS. And let me tell you about SKIMS. They make underwear for men. And when I found out they were making underwear for men, I hopped on board right away because I do my shopping online, and that's where you can find some nice underwear delivered freshly to you. It better be fresh. It always is. Skims.com/LockedOnNBA and Skims stores. Let them know we sent you. Select that Locked On Warriors drop down in the podcast option. And here's why you got to get Skims underwear. First of all, most likely you always need underwear. You can't have enough of it. It's a great stocking stuffer. And even in the summer months, it's just great to get yourself a pair. And they're so versatile. They have the Stretch 5 boxer brief that are meant for those that work out 5 days a week and just always want a workout underwear in their gym bag. But at the same time, if they have to be versatile with it and wear it out to the cantina, then it can't feel like stretchy pants. It's gotta feel good. And that's where the Cotton 3 boxer brief comes into play. It feels great for all the dads out there that love a nice cotton boxer brief, the Stretch 3 boxer brief. The list goes on and on of different types. So grab yourself a bundle, grab yourself a pair of every single kind, tell them we sent you, and find yourself some new underwear at skims.com. It's the official underwear partner of the NBA, the WNBA, and USA Basketball. All right, let's get back to the show. All right, the veteran minimum guys. And before we get into some of the players that could be available, let's talk about what constitutes as a veteran minimum salary. So it's the lowest amount a team can pay a player who is not considered a rookie, and the years come into play here. Not how old you are, but your service time in the NBA. So last season, I don't believe it's changed as of now. Last season, the 24-25 veteran minimum salary is 3.3 for a player with more than 10 years of experience. And then with no years after your rookie deal, you're looking at 1.1. And then for 10 or more, like we said, 3.3. So it can be anywhere in between there. You can get solid players a lot of times for $2 million, $1.5 million. Get some veterans to help you out. But hear me out. When the Warriors signed Otto Porter, how many years ago? I guess at this point, 3 years ago, time's flying, to a $2.4 million contract. That was a veteran minimum contract that obviously helped the Warriors win an NBA championship. And he was one of those obvious picks for a vet minimum, someone that was highly regarded out of Georgetown, someone that showed he could play, but battled injuries. Porter had only played 42 total games the prior 2 seasons, the Warriors, and he's only played like 20 after. So the Warriors got Otto Porter's prime for a season, won an NBA championship, and then he kind of rode off to the sunset, unless his story is not yet told in the game of basketball, or at least the playing days. But that can happen. And sometimes you need those things to break to win a championship. The Warriors needed it last time, and they want to compete for one next year, they're going to have to strike on one of these vet minimums. And one player that already kind of got a tryout and does make sense in some form of a small amount of cash, if that's what he's going for, would be DeAnthony Melton. Forget the 42 that Otto Porter played. Melton's played a total of 44 the last 2 seasons, but he is the type of guy that can help change the outlook of your season if he is healthy. A true awesome 6th man in the NBA. Now, he is coming off ACL surgery. That happened in November. You figure give him about a year, should be good to go around the time that the season begins. Kind of prides himself on explosiveness in terms of his defensive capabilities, but he's also long for his size, good at guarding his position, and could shoot. Like, let's not forget about that. Only played in 6 games for the Warriors, did Melton last season. And was talked about a lot when he got hurt for only playing in 6 games. Warriors got off to such a hot start. And it was like, DeAnthony Melton went down, everything changed. He only played in 6 games, but scored in double figures 4 times and had 19 and 14 in his last 2. Had a game where he scored 19, grabbed 10 rebounds, had 3 steals. He shoots 37% for his career from 3-point range. Solid defender, like I said. So does he make sense? Let me know in the comments. I just remember how high the Dubs decision makers were on him last season. Like he'd been a target for a minute since that Memphis series in the NBA Finals a couple years back, where both him and Kyle Anderson impressed the Warriors enough to bring them both in. Anderson, we saw there was no fit there. But in the small amount that DeAnthony Melton was on the squad, there is a little fit there to where if he can be someone off the bench that gives you a two-way presence, maybe not point of attack defender, but like he's a solid defender if he's, healthy. Warriors went after, Gary Payton when he was a little banged up, and he's proved that he can play and for the most part has earned himself a paycheck. And Melton's going to be a lot cheaper than even that because Payton got that big paycheck from Portland, at least in terms of Gary Payton. It was pretty big from Portland after that championship season for the Warriors before they brought him back in the Wiseman trade. So I think they'd bring him back in a heartbeat, and I think he's going to be a name to realistically keep an eye on, is someone that they throw a flyer on and say, let's run it back, DeAnthony. And obviously he's got to be on board. But hey, you showed you could fit in here, and we like what you bring to the table. A little shooting, a little defense, and a position that they need. The prove-it one-year contracts, though, they're nice sometimes. Derrick Jones Jr. was making $2 million with the Mavericks last season. And he showed this season that he is indeed worth the $10 million he's being paid by the Clippers right now. These players are out there, players that can help you win titles that are not expensive. Now, some guys that you could get for the veteran minimum that I've compiled together. Let me know which ones you would like in the comments. Let me know which ones you think could be realistic. Let me know which ones are just ridiculous and why am I even throwing them out there? Rapid fire. We'll go right through them. I was just going down players that will fall in this category. They're unrestricted free agents that I guess fit some of the things the Warriors ask for. Let's start with Bol from Phoenix. He's 7'3". That fits what you want. He fires threes and can hit them at a pretty good clip, can handle a little. He's 25 years old. Always felt like there's been a little bit of untapped potential there, but even dating back to his days at Oregon, some people have always questioned whether he had it, whether he had that next level to his game, and it hasn't had it in the NBA yet. But Bol, he's someone that could be super cheap. Would he make sense as one of those players on your team that, is near the bottom of the bench? Ben Simmons, 6'10", fits the system perfectly with his 3-point shooting abilities. Can you fix him? Probably not. At this point, probably not. Does he provide value for the cheap? I don't know. Defensively, he's always been strong, but I know someone out there saying get him. I don't think that's really what the Warriors need after what happened in Minnesota and the recency bias from that series. I don't think they're going, what would have helped when Steph Curry went out? Ben Simmons. Somewhere Colin Coward's fired up about the possibility. It's okay, LeBron. You can go now. We got Ben Simmons. He actually said that. Kai Jones, former first rounder. He's a 6'11" center, runs the floor like Giannis, man. Like he's got athletic ability. I've always liked his tape. He's a tape guy. The classic, you're watching Ball is Life and a video of Kai Jones pops up and you're salivating at the prospects. Looks great getting off the bus. In the last 2 months of the season, he was a 12-8 guy. So the stats and the splits say he was improving late in the season. He's still young. I don't think he's done enough to be anything but a vet minimum guy, you would think. He's only 24 years of age. Don't hate giving him a look as like your JaVale McGee, high-flying, energy, big, that kind of guy. But Kai Jones, forget Miles Turner. Thomas Bryant, 6'10". We saw him tonight for the Pacers. Could make some sense in terms of size, can keep you honest from three. 15-minute guy for the Pacers, hit their playoff rotation. He's big, unrestricted free agent. Thomas Bryant. Luke Cornett and Al Horford of the Celtics are both unrestricted free agents. Al's pushing 40 at this point, but he's been somewhat durable. He's been a consistent 60-game guy the last few seasons. So Al Horford, could he play on the floor with Draymond? Could he be that center? One more season for Horford. Is he hanging it up? What do we think there? Chris Boucher. We have tape of him lighting up the Warriors. He was on that Raptors team earlier in the season. that honestly sunk Steve Kerr to probably the lowest he's ever been as a NBA head coach. That was when the Warriors were mid. Per Steph Curry, that press conference, Steve Kerr was not happy. So, and they saw Boucher almost beat the Warriors by himself. He's tall, positionally as a power forward. He's a great shooter. But Chris Boucher, does he make any sense? Question is, do any of these guys seem like an upgrade from Kevon Looney? Because I went with mainly big guys. If the answer is yes, then go hit the market. If the answer is no, and you're sticking with Loon in the system, and he's Mr. Reliable, he's the glue, then I guess you stick with Loon. But those are some options there to potentially upgrade the roster. And if Porter Jr. or that type of player, let's go Cam Johnson, because they're like the same size. Honestly, they kind of look like each other. If Porter Jr. and Cam Johnson, those types of players, are the options as playmakers through a potential sign and trade contract with Kuminga or one of those bigger deals, then are these the types of players that you find size through? Because there are plenty of them out there. And like I said, they're mainly veteran minimum players. Could the Warriors find anyone through the draft? They do have the 41st pick in this year's draft. And per Danny Emmerman, they are bringing in the following players for pre-draft workouts. This is the first group. Stephen Crow from Wisconsin, he's 7 feet. Nate Biddle from Oregon, he's 7 feet. Tamar Bates from Mizzou, he's 6'5". RJ Lewis from St. John's, electric guard. Milos Uzan from Houston, saw him in the national championship. And Kobe Johnson from UCLA are the first batch of guys that are coming in. Warriors 41st pick in the NBA draft. They've honestly picked players that have proved value pretty early in the second round. I mean, dating back to Draymond and all the way to Trace Jackson Davis, who's starting in playoff games, and Quentin Post, who's playing a role in the playoffs. So they found some value there in the second round, or players that have been able to step in and play from day one. And those picks have been in the 50s. This one's 41. So we'll see what the Warriors do with that. Obviously, a lot of pre-draft coverage coming up on this program, Locked on Warriors. But for now, let's get to Brandin Podziemski, his value. There's been a lot of talks about whether he could be a chip that's involved in a trade that brings back someone a little more, I guess, ready, a little more of a veteran presence, someone who's been consistent for longer. The other side of this is Brandin Podziemski's really good. He's really young and he's really cheap. Let's talk about it coming up on Locked on Warriors. All right, everyone. Buy or sell your next car today and do it at CarGurus.com. They are a proud sponsor of the show, and we very much appreciate you giving them a chance. Shopping for a car should be exciting, not exhausting, but sometimes between confusing prices, hidden fees, it could feel overwhelming, and that is why CarGurus has become my go-to. They cut through the noise, and they show you the best deals with full confidence. They have over 4 million listings. They got more new and used cars than any other online marketplace in the U.S. They verify dealers, they provide real price analysis, and they give you the tools and data you need to make the right choice without second guessing yourself. If you need a deal you can trust, it's CarGurus. You can compare vehicles side by side with unbiased deal ratings. Also, you can get price drop alerts so you know exactly when the perfect car is available for your budget. And it's no wonder SimilarWeb estimated traffic data shows CarGurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site. So buy or sell your next car today with CarGurus at CarGurus.com. Go to CarGurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's CarGurus.com. Let's get back to the show. All right, Brandin Podziemski, the trade piece or the future? And maybe not the future, but a huge part of the future. The numbers back it up. He's 22 years old. Playoff stats is the issue right now, and his very small, let's do the math, 12-game sample size. Joe Lacob said when he was backing up his draft picks that were taking any heat from media, from Twitter, whatever. Lacob said it's no wonder he struggled. He's 22 years old. You can't expect him to be a finished product in his first NBA playoffs to step in and act like he's been there before. He never has. Let the man grow, get off his back. It's very clear that Kerr loves him. Lacob likes him. But they don't have time for this, do they? If Joe Lacob's saying it's no wonder he struggled and it's going to take some time, and unless he flips the switch ASAP, I would think that this upcoming season is your shot right now to bargain some of these assets that you have to go bring someone else in. Now, here's the issue. Pods in his last 40 games put up 14, 5, and 3.5 at 22 on a team that had good players, on a team that went to the second round of the NBA playoffs. 14, 5, and 3.5. Last game of the season, granted in a loss, he had 28 on 11 and 19, 4-6 from 3, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, a couple of steals. That's real. Those numbers are real. I don't care if it's against a team at Moscone, like in a pickup game. 28 on 11 and 19, 4-6, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. That's real. That is proof that this guy can score, that this guy can rebound at the guard position, that he can grab steals, that he can facilitate. Like he's got a little bit of everything in his bag. Consistently, though, do you want the ball in his hands in a pressure cook situation right now? I'm not projecting anything to the future, just right now. And if that answer is no, then you got to at least pick up the phone and entertain all your options, right? Not saying to trade him, but you got to at least look at him as a potential option to move elsewhere for someone more NBA ready, because he's going to be valuable at a couple $1 million on a rookie deal playing this well. So it would be tough to turn Podziemski into someone who can give you that overall line, 28, 5, and 5. But consistency is the question here, because he did go 3 of 14, 1 of 10 in a few of those Minnesota games when you needed him the most. But like, for example, if he's involved in a Michael Porter Jr. trade, let's say that hypothetical somehow came to surface. Michael Porter Jr. had some 1 for 7, some 2 for 10, some 2 for 12 games in the playoffs as well. So it's tough because Pods is good. He's cheap. He is valuable, whether he's on this team, valuable because the Warriors are going to go as far as Brandin Podziemski helps take them. Like I said many times in the playoffs, he was one of the X factors because you knew what you were going to get from Steph, Jimmy for the most part. It was like Buddy, Podziemski, Moody, and Kuminga. Those were always your X factors. He can shoot. I mean, 37% for Pods in 2 straight seasons. And that started with just a brutal November. Horrific. The exact numbers were like 14%. Both him and Gary Payton got off to terrible shooting starts and wound up, hitting a pretty respectable clip. So Pods 37% in 2 straight seasons after he shoots 40% in college. I mean, at this point, maybe not a sharpshooter off creation, but just off the catch. I mean, he hits at 40% based off the stats off the catch. So he can shoot. Pods can shoot. Post All-Star break, he shot at 43% from 3. Not going to find a lot of guys who can do that at that age. They can also rebound at the guard position. So you're thinking for tomorrow, and you're also thinking 10 steps ahead. It goes back to Joe Lacob basically saying, you can't expect these guys to be a finished product. Well, then can you use them for someone that's on a different timeline, or multiple teams that are on different timelines? Can you somehow finagle that very valuable contract into, or contracts that returns you someone that you can expect to be a finished product, even if he may not have the ceiling as someone like Pods? And I struggle with it. I'd have to, and that's the issue on these shows, is we don't have the actual deals until the deals usually are done one way or the other, whether they've been leaked because they're not happening or because they're on the way. So we have no say in this, but yeah, I mean, at this point, I think you have to explore all options aside from trading Curry, like literally all options. And he's one of the more valuable filler pieces that you have in terms of someone that you can attach to that Kuminga deal to get the right player if need be. But he's also a prime candidate to pop next season, a streaky player. And if you want to go into the weeds, deep into the weeds, because I saw not these comparisons, but more so just this numbers game on the internet, where basically Podziemski's numbers last season were better than Jalen Brunson of the Knicks, when he was a couple years into the league, and he was also older than Podziemski. They both kind of, I wouldn't say they play similar necessarily, but lefties that have that similar build. And who knows? And think about it. If you got rid of Podziemski, and I don't think he's ever going to be the scoring threat of Jalen Brunson, don't get me wrong, but let's just say hypothetically that happened down the road, and you traded him for, God knows who, unless that player was someone that really, really gave you a shot to improve. Let's go with the basketball version of WAR, wins above replacement. Unless he gave you a couple wins above replacement, and a couple for a few years, then I don't think it would make sense. That's the danger of trading him. He's 22. Brunson popped when he was 26. Tons of players pop when they're 24, 25, 26. We have not seen the best of Pods. He is young and has shown flashes. So I don't know. It just comes back to, once again, kind of like the final ride mantra that we've gotten from some of these guys, where they even though Butler said, we've been taking care of ourselves physically, I think we can go longer than just these 2 years that we have lined up on our contracts, this 2 playoff push. But if the 2 playoff push is actually the move, and they know that internally, then you have to weigh the pros and cons here, the risk to the reward of not putting him in a deal potentially. But I think regardless, Dunleavy's picking up the phone, and whether he was untouchable or not last offseason, they're at least going to see what the market's like out there for almost all these guys, and see how they can shift this thing, because they are close at the top. They are close at the top. The middle needs revamping. They have made that very, very clear. So that is a show. We're not going to get into Gilbert Arenas saying trade for Trae Young. It's not that slow of a season yet. We're not getting into Arenas tweets about trading for a player that I think makes absolutely no sense on this team. That is a show. Sorry for not being able to get to the chat. For those of you that joined us on YouTube, time has run out, and the solo ones with my ADD, always tough to try and navigate a show while also being interactive. But next time, I promise, we'll see you tomorrow. That's the beauty of the Locked On Warriors offseason. Even when there's not a ton of content, I'm going to be here for you, finding a way to talk for about 33 minutes and 15 seconds tonight. That's a show. Peace, everyone. We'll talk soon.